Okay, we've got a lot to unpack today, diving into this whole CBRN thing. You sent us a ton of stuff, Ukraine, AI, even 3D printing. Seems like you want the big picture. Yeah,
Exactly. We'll cut through the noise, see what's really got experts worried, and what it means for you.
let's do it. First up, these Ukraine articles are, well, kind of scary. Feels like they're rewriting the rules of war, and not in a good way.
It's a wake-up call, that's for sure. The lines are blurring between conventional warfare and CBRN. Take riot control agents, for example.
Right, tear gas, stuff like that. They're using it way more, and it's like Russia's trying to make it normal, which is chilling.
It's a gray area, not outlawed like, say, nerve agents, but normalizing this sets a bad example. Could unravel decades of work, make others think, hey, why not us too? Yeah, imagine that happening closer to home.
Yeah, not a future I want. And then there's the whole thing with those Ukrainian biolabs. Like, come on.
Textbook disinformation, weaponizing fear. That's the goal. Makes people doubt everything, even the experts.
Mhm.
Impacts how we react to real threats, even here at home.
So how do we fight back against that? If they're controlling the information, how can people even know what to believe?
That's $1 million question. It's got to be multi-layered, right? Give people the tools to spot fake news, teach them critical thinking, and we need fast, reliable info out there to counter it.
Speaking of complex situations, let's talk about that nuclear plant, Zaporizhia. CBRNe World magazine did a deep dive, and it sounds like a ticking time bomb.
No other way to put it. You've got Russian troops there, Ukrainian workers under pressure, constant risk, something goes wrong. It's a recipe for disaster.
One of the scariest things is how Rosatom, the Russian nuclear company, is basically calling the shots, pushing out the Ukrainian staff, even replacing them with locals who don't have the expertise. One article said only 20 out of 11,000 skilled workers are left.
Shows how fragile these systems really are. Nuclear safety depends on having the right people, highly trained, experienced. What Rosatom's doing, it's not just risky, it goes against every international standard.
It feels like even the IAEA, they want to do something, but their hands are tied. What happens if Russia just ignores everyone?
That's what's so worrying. More isolation, sanctions, hurting their standing globally, sure. But it also sets a precedent, like saying, hey, anyone else want to grab a nuke plant and do whatever? No consequences. Not a good look.
Definitely not. And it makes you realize these CBRN threats, they're not just some far-off thing. Speaking of which, let's talk about what's hitting closer to home, literally in our own backyards.
You hit the nail on the head there. It's easy to think, oh, that's happening over there. But these CBRN threats, they're popping up everywhere. Like that story in CBRN World, the woman in the UK used aluminum phosphide for bed bugs, right?
Yeah, awful. Accidental poisoning, next-door neighbor's kid, just heartbreaking.
And it proves the point. These substances, even if they seem ordinary, things people use, they can have huge consequences if mishandled. Knowledge is key, being aware of what you're dealing with.
Absolutely. But then you've got the truly scary stuff, people using this stuff on purpose to hurt others. We saw a bunch of examples in these articles.
Right, and it's getting worse. Fentanyl's a huge problem, laced into fake pills, even mailed to those election offices in the US, remember that? Easy to get and incredibly deadly.
It's terrifying, and those reports from Canada about these massive fentanyl labs, it just feels like it's out of control.
It's a huge concern, no doubt. We need to hit it from all sides. Police shutting down labs, stopping the supply, that's crucial. But we also need help for people, addiction treatment, education, to get to the root of the problem.
It's complicated, that's for sure. And those articles about the UK counterterrorism thing where they found chemicals in a house, it makes you realize this isn't just big organizations, right?
Exactly. More and more, it's these lone wolf types or small groups, but they can get their hands on dangerous stuff, and they have the knowledge now, a lot of it from the internet, unfortunately.
So we're talking easily available chemicals, online instructions, and people actually willing to use them. That's a scary combination.
It's a perfect storm, and it's changing all the time. Makes you realize we got to be ready for anything, prepared. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. You also sent us some really interesting stuff about AI and 3D printing, how those could actually help with this.
Yeah, felt like a light at the end of the tunnel, honestly. These technologies seems like they could be game changers, not just reacting to CBRN, but actually getting ahead of it.
Exactly. Let's start with AI, right? Huge potential for changing how we spot, analyze, and deal with these incidents.
There was that thing about AI as an early warning system, like scanning social media for talk about certain chemicals or noticing weird patterns in hospitals, people getting sick.
Exactly. AI can sift through mountains of data instantly and see things we'd miss. That head start is crucial, lets us react fast.
So instead of playing catch-up after an attack, we could actually stop it before it happens, or at least contain an outbreak.
Exactly. And early warning is just the beginning. Imagine you're a first responder, you find a suspicious substance. What is it? What'll it do? AI could tell you right there on the spot.
Wow. No more waiting for lab results. That's straight out of a movie.
That's the goal. Give those on the front lines the info they need to make the right call fast. Could save lives.
Incredible. And then there's 3D printing, or additive manufacturing, whatever you want to call it. Those articles made it sound like we could be printing custom hazmat suits, even decontamination tools whenever we need them.
Think about it. A hazmat suit tailored to a specific chemical, on-site, no waiting for deliveries. It could revolutionize how we respond to these events.
So more relying on big factories, no delays. That's huge.
Empowers communities, gives first responders what they need when they need it. That's what could make the difference in a crisis.
Sounds amazing, but anything this powerful, there's got to be a downside, right? Could someone use this for bad stuff too?
Of course. Every coin has two sides, right?
Hmm.
Same tech that could cure diseases could be used to make worse bioweapons. And 3D printing, sure, it's revolutionizing things, but it could also be used to make dangerous stuff.
So it's a race then. Use this tech for good, but stay ahead of the bad guys who want to abuse it.
It's a balancing act for sure. That's why we need global cooperation, ethical guidelines, make sure we're using it responsibly.
It's a lot to take in. Evolving threats, the lines between global and local blurring, tech that can save us or hurt us. It's a lot.
It is, but it's the reality we live in, right?
Yeah.
And it's important to understand it, especially for someone like you who's clearly paying attention. And speaking of paying attention, there were some specific situations you wanted to talk about, things that are particularly worrying right now. Like North Korea. Korea Yunong Daily had some stuff about them expanding that chemical plant.
Yeah, not good. Sounds like they're ramping up their weapons programs, nukes, chemicals, the whole 9 yards. And sanctions don't seem to be slowing them down.
It's a game of chicken, them pushing the limits, seeing how far they can go. The international community needs to present a united front, diplomacy, sanctions, the works. But we also got to be ready if things go south.
High stakes, no doubt. And then there's Ukraine, things escalating there. And the possibility of the CBRN stuff spilling over into other countries, it's a scary thought.
Ukraine's a reminder that the world's a volatile place. And these conflicts, they can escalate fast. We can't ignore that.
It's a lot to process. But before we spiral, remember those technologies we were talking about, AI, 3D printing? What if we could use them not just for defense, but to stop these threats before they even start?
Now there's a thought, and it's one a lot of smart people are thinking about. Can we actually predict and prevent a CBRN attack? And if so, what are the ethics of that?
It's like we're on the verge of something big, not just reacting, but knowing ahead of time. But yeah, the ethics, that's a whole other thing.
Huge ethical questions. If we can say this person might use CBRN, what do we do? Stop them before they even try. Where's the line between prevention and, I don't know, punishing someone for something they haven't even done yet? That's the future we're looking at.
Uncharted territory, for sure. And even if we figure out the ethics, can we even use this tech properly? Are we ready for that?
That's the other side of it. Those CBRNe World articles, they were big on data security, training, making sure people actually trust AI and 3D printing. Because you can have the best tools in the world, but if folks don't get it, don't trust it, it's useless.
Like giving someone a fancy telescope but no instructions.
Yeah.
They might see something, but they're missing the big picture.
Exactly. We got to invest in training, education, let the public know what's up, how to use this stuff right. And we can't forget about, us, the human factor. A lot of the experts, they said it's got to be a partnership. Machines help us, but we're still in charge.
So working with AI, not being replaced by it, finding that balance where it makes us better helps us make smarter choices.
Right. AI, 3D printing, they're tools. Powerful tools, yeah, but still tools.
Yeah.
We need to be the ones thinking critically, making the ethical calls, understanding the whole CBRN landscape. Can't hand that over to a machine.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground today. Ukraine, those homegrown threats, the AI stuff. It's a lot to wrap your head around. And it feels like things are changing so fast.
They are. The old rules are out the window. Warfare, security, it's all different now. What's happening across the world affects us here, and vice versa. Technology, it can be the answer, or it can be the problem, right?
So, for our listeners, someone who's obviously taking this seriously, what's the one thing you want them to remember?
The world's a complicated place, more than ever. But we're not helpless. Stay informed, keep learning, understand how this new tech fits in, and hold those in charge accountable. That's how we make a difference. For ourselves, for everyone.
It's on all of us. That's a good note to end on. Thanks for listening, everybody. Stay safe out there, and until next time, keep asking the tough questions.